Another motion graphics tutorial is ready to go, and in this After Effects video, we're going to talk about 4 motion graphic techniques while using lines with titles. Hey, what's going on internet? This is Josh Noel from SonduckFilm. So we've done a handful of motion graphic tutorials here on the channel, and we can get really specific with motion graphics, and that's what we're going to do in this video. We're going to be focusing on just line animations in conjunction with titles. So if you need extra help with motion graphics, specifically with titles or any type of shapes, go ahead and check the link in the video description. The text animations video can be found in a handful of our other tutorials, but this one we're focusing on just this line, and it's a great way to help spice up our title work and make it look like we did more work than we actually have done. So let's go ahead and jump in the video and let's talk about these 4 techniques so we can start pumping out awesome work. And before we jump into this tutorial, if you do enjoy this video, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We do post 2 post-production tutorials every single week, so hit that subscribe button if you do enjoy this video. In our first technique, we're going to create a detailed box line to go around our title. And it's very easy to do this. The first thing we're going to do is go to the top and we're going to grab the rectangle tool. When you have the rectangle tool selected, where it says fill at the top, make sure you click on the word fill and you set that to none. And then you click on the word stroke and you set that to solid color. And you can change the color to white or whatever color you want. And then you can change the stroke size. So from here, what we'll do is we'll click and we'll draw out a rectangle just like this. And we can create kind of an awkward box. From here, we'll go to our shape layer, go to add, and we'll add a trim paths. We'll open up trim paths 1 and we'll come here to the beginning of our timeline. And we can set the end percentage down to 0%. And now we can increase the start percentage to see where this comes on at. And then we can change the offset to choose where we want this to start at. So I want to start on the left side. And I'll set my offset to 180 degrees. And now what we'll do is we'll add a keyframe for start and set it down to 0%. We'll move forward in time maybe by a second or so. And we'll set our start percentage up to that next subtitle. So kind of like that. And we'll select over our keyframes and make them easy ease keyframes by hitting F9 on our keyboard. So now we have something like this. So with our outline box animated, we can move on to our next technique, which is more of a simplified version of the first technique, which is just a line that animates around our title in a box format, but it's a much smaller line. So in this technique, what we can do is take the same rectangle tool, create a box around our our title, and this also could be a circle, it doesn't have to be a rectangle either. And then we'll go back to add, and we'll add another trim path to this shape layer, and we'll come here to the beginning, and we'll open up trim paths 1, and we will bring the end percent down to 0%, and we can add a keyframe for start, and then we'll move forward in time by a few seconds and set the start percentage to 100%. Go back to the beginning and go forward just by a few frames, add a keyframe for end percent, move past the last keyframe by a few frames, and set the end percent all the way to 100%. So now we have the smaller line going around our title just like that, and you can bring the keyframes in by a little bit and make it a little quicker, and make them all easy ease keyframes by hitting F9 on your keyboard. And then we can even decrease the stroke width by a little bit here. Maybe we'll go down to 6. So this line is a little bit smaller and it looks cool. In our third technique, we're not going to use the rectangle tool this time. We're going to use the pen tool. So next up, we'll grab the pen tool here and we'll make sure the stroke is turned on and the fill is off. And from here, what we're going to do is click a point down anywhere in our composition, usually below our titles. And we're going to click another point by holding down shift so we have this straight line. So one point, shift clicked another point, and you'll have a straight line. And from here, we'll add the trim paths again. And we'll go to the beginning here, go to trim paths 1, and we'll set the end down to 0%. We'll add a keyframe for the start percent, and we'll move forward in time just by a little bit, and we'll set it to 100%. Go back in time to just about a few frames at the beginning of the timeline, add a keyframe for end percent, move past the last keyframe by a few frames, and set the end percent to 100%. Make them all easy ease keyframes, and now we just have this line going in like this. And what's cool here is that we can go into the stroke 1, and we can go to stroke width, and where it says butt cap, we can set this down to round cap, and so it'll be kind of rounded out. You can do that for all the lines as well. So from here, what we can do is take our shape layer that we just made, go to edit, duplicate, and we just use the arrow keys on our keyboard, and we can bring this down a little bit and offset this in time, this layer. So now we have a duplicated copy of this line and just adds a little bit more detail to our overall title. So now we have an assortment of motion graphic lines in our composition, but let's talk about our fourth and final technique, which is going to be a line transition. So we have our subtitle here, for example, and we want to transition this subtitle on with a shape. So what we're going to do here is, grab the pen tool like before and draw out a straight line to cover up our titles. And then what we'll do is increase the stroke width here at the top to make sure it covers up that entire subtitle. Then we'll go into our shape layer 1, go to add, and you guessed it, it's trim paths. and we'll open up trim pass 1, and we're going to do the same thing as before. We'll decrease the end %, and we'll want to start this animation as our subtitle comes on, so we'll have it come in from the opposite side. So add a keyframe for start and end, move that end keyframe forward by a little bit, and then we'll move forward here to the end of that animation, and we'll increase the start to 100% and the end to 0%, and offset that end keyframe just by a little bit as well. And then make sure to turn on motion blur for all your used layers here and turn it on at the top. And here's what we have with our line techniques. There's so many ways to create awesome motion graphics. However, it can be very time consuming if you have a lot of motion graphic work to do, or the work is just really repetitive. To help me save time and produce awesome work, I use a third-party pack called Toko, which has over 1,200 motion graphic elements that allow me to save a ton of time and produce awesome work. Let me show you how it's done, and you can also check our links in the video description to learn more. Now, with this extension that I have right here inside of After Effects Toko, we have all these subcategories from typography to backgrounds to transitions to shape elements like these motion graphics that I can quickly add in preview here. So if I wanted to say add a little bit more, detail to our composition, I can add, say, these lines in here by clicking it, quickly change the colors by going to the effects controls, and I have all the color controls that I want, and I can quickly change this. And within a second, we were able to add one of over 1,000 elements into our timeline to help spice this up. And of course, it's just one basic element. For example, we don't just have to do shape elements. We also have titles in here that we can quickly preview here at the top, and it's like, okay, we got that title design there, maybe this one works better for us. And there's a handful of titles in this one pack that we were just able to add within a few seconds and change out our titles, and we're ready to go. We have plenty of other categories from lower thirds to infographics, which is really cool. You never know when you need to use those, to devices, so you can change out the images in these devices and build out awesome motion graphics for your clients. And we even have logo reveals, and there's a handful of these in here, so you can't really run out of these uses. So be sure to check out our links in the video description so you can view all 1,000 plus of these motion graphic elements that you can bring into any After Effects project. So those are our 4 motion graphic line techniques to help spruce up titles or pretty much any other type of motion graphic work you could be doing. So I hope you guys were able to take away these techniques, and hopefully you did enjoy this video. If you did enjoy this video, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, SonduckFilm. We post at least 2 post-production tutorials every single week right here, so hit that subscribe button. You can also hit me up on my social media networks. Those links are in the video description, and always be creating.